Tom and Jerry might be the most chaotic duo in cartoon history, and they've been chasing each other through 7 different eras of animation. But let's be real, not all versions were created equal. Some were absolute classics that defined generations, and others, total head-scratchers that barely felt like the same show. So today we're ranking every single era of Tom and Jerry from worst to best, from the golden age to the weird reboots and everything in between. All right, starting off at number 7 is the Gene Deitch era, also known as the weird European years. So here's the deal. In the early 60s, MGM shut down their animation studio after budget cuts and internal shakeups. But surprise, they still wanted to keep cashing in on Tom and Jerry. So instead of hiring someone from Hollywood, they outsourced the entire thing to Eastern Europe. Yeah. Enter Gene Deitch, an American animator who had just moved to Prague to work with a small studio called Rembrandt Films. He wasn't some big Tom and Jerry fan either. He'd barely even seen the originals. But MGM came to him and said, "Hey, can you make more episodes for super cheap?" And Gene said, "Sure," probably with no idea what he was getting into. And boy, you can feel that budget. The animation? Choppy. The backgrounds? Empty. The characters? Stiff and off-model half the time. Tom looks like he hasn't eaten in weeks, and Jerry has these weird bat-like ears that never sit right. And don't even get me started on the sound design. The music is either way too dramatic or just wrong. The sound effects feel like they were recorded in someone's garage. It's like they took the charm of the originals and swapped it for pure chaos, and not the kind of chaos we loved. Even Tom and Jerry themselves feel different, like they forgot how to act like Tom and Jerry. But here's the weird part, these episodes do have a legacy. Fans today kind of love how bad they are. They've become this strange cult favorite where the animation's so off, it's actually fascinating to watch. Coming in at number 6, we've got the Tom and Jerry Show from 1975, also known as the second Hanna-Barbera era. You know, the one where, for some reason, Tom and Jerry just decided to be friends. After decades of trying to destroy each other, someone at Hanna-Barbera said, "What if they got along?" And that, my friends, is where this era completely lost the plot, literally. The reason for this sudden change of plot was because Hanna-Barbera had to meet the stringent rules against violence in children's TV at the time. So instead of the usual chaos, Tom and Jerry became buddies. Gone was the slapstick. Gone was the chaos. And instead, we got Tom and Jerry teaming up to fight bad guys, solve mysteries, and go on wholesome adventures. It was like watching Batman and Joker open a bakery together. Just weird. To be fair, the animation was okay for Saturday morning standards, and Hanna-Barbera had a good thing going with other shows around that time. But when it came to Tom and Jerry, this version felt totally defanged. The violence was toned down to near extinction. No frying pans to the face. No explosions. No cartoon-level mayhem. Just 2 ex-rivals now acting like co-workers who carpool. And the fans? Yeah, they weren't buying it. There's a reason barely anyone talks about these episodes today. Sliding into the middle of the pack at number 5, it's Tom and Jerry Kids, aka that phase in the 90s when every cartoon character got turned into a baby for some reason. You had Muppet Babies, Flintstone Kids, a pup named Scooby-Doo, and yep, Tom and Jerry weren't safe either. In this version, Tom and Jerry are now tiny, wide-eyed, and way less violent, like they've been through cartoon anger management. The show definitely had its charm. The animation was bright, the energy was high, and it was a solid entry point for younger kids who'd never seen the originals. It even introduced new characters like baby versions of Droopy and Spike's son Tyke, who actually got more screen time than the title duo in some episodes. But let's be real, if you were looking for the classic slapstick, the frying pans to the face, the full-on cat-and-mouse war zone, yeah, this wasn't it. The tone here was way more comedic than chaotic. More jokes, less pain, more squeaky shoes, fewer anvils. It was cute, but kind of tame. Still, it's fun to look back on, especially if you grew up with it. It's like a soft-serve version of Tom and Jerry, sweet, harmless, but not quite the real thing. That's why it lands right in the middle. Not a disaster by any means, just a softer, goofier version that played it safe. At number 4, we've got the Chuck Jones era, or as I like to call it, the Looney Tunes-ified years. Now, before you come for me in the comments, yes, the animation here is gorgeous. The backgrounds, stylized and artistic. The character movements, super polished. You can tell Chuck Jones put a ton of love into these, but it's also where things started to feel a little off. For starters, Tom got these giant, wiggly eyebrows that basically had their own personality. Jerry got extra cutesy, and both of them started acting more like Looney Tunes characters than themselves. Tom became this over-dramatic goofball, more Daffy Duck than House Cat, and the pacing slowed down a lot. Instead of wild, unpredictable slapstick, we got a more stylized, cerebral kind of humor. It's not bad, it's just different. Like, imagine if someone remixed your favorite song into a slow jazz version. Technically impressive, but not what you turn up when you're ready to go feral. That said, the creativity in this era is undeniable. Episodes like The Cat Above and The Mouse Below and The Year of the Mouse are brilliantly constructed. The visual gags are smart, and the animation is super smooth, way cleaner than the Gene DH chaos just a few years earlier. But if you grew up on the OG Hanna-Barbera mayhem, this era might feel a little too classy. So yeah, Chuck Jones brought the technical glow-up, no question. But in terms of capturing that chaotic, unfiltered spirit of classic Tom and Jerry, it just doesn't completely hit the mark. Beautiful, yes. Iconic, kinda. But top tier, not quite. All right, cracking into the top 3. And here's where things get interesting. It's the modern reboots, and I know what you're thinking. Wait, the new stuff? Yup, stick with me. This includes Tom and Jerry Tales from the mid-2000s, the Tom and Jerry Show from 2014 to 2021, Tom and Jerry in New York, and even the 2021 live-action movie. And listen, not all of it is gold, but there's actually a lot to love here. What makes this era work is that it actually tries to go back to the original formula. Fast-paced slapstick, exaggerated expressions, and barely any talking. Just chaos. Glorious, well-animated chaos. Take Tom and Jerry Tales, for example. This one is low-key a fan favorite. Clean animation, creative plots, and most importantly, it feels like classic Tom and Jerry. Like someone actually studied the originals and said, let's bring that back. The 2014 series, it's hit or miss. Some episodes nail the energy, others feel a little flat, but the character designs are on point and the slapstick is definitely back in action. Then you've got Tom and Jerry in New York, which cranks up the absurdity but keeps the visual comedy tight. And yes, the 2021 movie was a choice. Not perfect, but it at least stayed true to who Tom and Jerry are. What sets this era apart is consistency. These reboots didn't try to reinvent the wheel, they just polished it. The violence came back, in a cartoon way, of course. The expressions were over the top again, and Tom finally stopped acting like a sad jazz poet with weird eyebrows. Is every episode a banger? No, but overall, the modern reboots have done something rare. They've brought Tom and Jerry into the 21st century without totally selling out their identity. So yeah, for reviving the spirit, keeping the slapstick alive, and introducing a whole new generation to the chaos, the modern era earns its spot in the top 3, especially Tom and Jerry Tales, and that one deserves more love. At number 2, we've got the one that started it all, the legendary, the untouchable. The original Hanna-Barbera shorts, running from 1940 to 1958. This is the golden age of Tom and Jerry. These are the cartoons your parents grew up on, the ones with that old-school MGM shine, where every frame was hand-drawn, every gag was perfectly timed, and every scream from Tom sounded like it came from the depths of cartoon hell, in the best way possible. This era gave us everything. The personalities, the dynamics, the blueprint. Tom was the pompous schemer. Jerry was the tiny, chaotic gremlin with a brain, and when these two clashed, pure slapstick magic, it wasn't just funny, it was award-winning. These shorts won 7 Academy Awards, and it's easy to see why. The animation was stunning, the music was orchestral and perfectly synced to the action, and the timing of the jokes was surgical. So why isn't it number 1? Well, we'll get to that in a second. But make no mistake, the Hanna-Barbera era is the soul of Tom and Jerry. It's the foundation, the gold standard, the reason we're even ranking anything at all. And here it is, number 1 on the list, the Fred Quimby era. Running from 1940 to 1955 with massive overlap with the Hanna-Barbera golden years, this era deserves its own crown. Why? Because Fred Quimby produced the absolute best episodes this franchise has ever seen. We're talking The Cat Concerto, Mouse Trouble, Solid Serenade, Heavenly Puss, legendary episodes that didn't just win awards, they defined generations of animated comedy. The animation, flawless. The music, timed down to the millisecond with every punch, step, and scream. The comedy, still laugh out loud funny nearly 80 years later. This is Tom and Jerry at their most iconic form. When Tom's desperation was operatic, Jerry's mischief was next-level genius. These weren't just cartoons, they were art. And Fred Quimby knew exactly how to polish the chaos without losing the soul. Under his production, the team had resources, time, and vision, and it shows in every frame. So yeah, the Fred Quimby era isn't just number 1 on this list. It's number 1 in cartoon history, the perfect storm of timing, talent, and pure animated brilliance. No reboots, no redesigns, no updates have ever come close to this magic. So that's every era of Tom and Jerry, ranked from worst to best. From unexpected friendships to classic chaos, these two have been through it all. Agree with the list? Think we got it totally wrong? Hit the comments and let us know. And if you grew up with any of these versions, tell us which one still lives rent-free in your head. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next cartoon breakdown.